Hello, college football fans. It's Sunday, October the 3rd, 2021, the day after the Alabama-Ole Miss game, and what a glorious game that was if you're an Alabama fan, especially an old-school Alabama fan. It had an old-school feel to it, like a python just constricting the life right out of a team, and before you knew it, they looked up and it was 28-0 at halftime, and the ball game was over at that point. It seemed to like I said, it seemed a lot more like when you watch those early Nick Saban Alabama teams, when they were just using running game and stifling defense to control the ball and control the games, and they would just 8-yard drive, 9-yard drive, 10-yard drive after another, and you'd get at least field goals back then, and it would look more like maybe a 10 or a 17-0 halftime victory, and then it would turn into something like 35-0 or 40-something to nothing or 3 or 10 or however whatever paltry amount of scores the opposing team was able to come up with. But they just never felt like they had a chance to win, at least by halftime, and that's what we got yesterday. And I'm going to start off by giving a big tip of the cap to Brian Robinson. As everybody knows, not only am I the president of the Les Brian Robinson Club, I'm also a member, but got to hand it to him. He looked, for the first time in his career, he looked like a first-string University of Alabama running back, and let's hope he can keep that up. 4 touchdowns, 171 yards, something like that. Yeah, that's more like it, B-Rob. That's what I've been wanting to see, and you're the one that did it, and I never would have guessed that it was you to emerge as the man, but it looks like you've done it, and let's just hope that you can keep that up. I know that we talk about how the game has changed a lot, and how you're way more dependent on your quarterback and being able to score a lot of points, and all that. But one thing that has not changed, and I think you saw it in both of the big games yesterday in the SEC. You got to have the best. You got to have the top end guys in the trenches on both of your lines, defense and offense, if you want to have a prayer of competing for the biggest trophies in college football. That is something that has remained the same. Yeah, it's true. Offense is the side of the ball that you use to control the game now. And, people used to say defense wins championships. Now, I've said it before several times now, but that is no longer the case. But like what is still the case is you got to have the big uglies. You got to have, if you don't have the best, they need to be close to the best in the country if you want to have a prayer of competing at the highest of levels. And Alabama and Georgia definitely proved that yesterday. Another big shout out and something I want to mention right off the top before I forget, the play of the game. I'm going to give that to Tim Smith. Oh boy. Ole Miss comes out looking exactly like I thought they would look. Our defense looked exactly like I thought they would look, which is, maybe a little bit in over their head. Braylon Sanders makes that circus catch. They're just marching down the field, getting fourth down conversion after fourth down conversion, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I've seen stuff like this before. I've seen, Les Miles was big about that. You'd think that you had him on third down, and then the Joker would come out and run a 4th and 2, usually to that fullback that they had. I forgot his Hester. Oh, Lord in heaven. Jacob Hester. But that's what that drive reminded me of. And then, I'm thinking to myself, well, we never, once a team gets rolling and starts driving on us, usually they go ahead and score, especially in recent years and against very high-powered offenses like Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss's, and then all of a sudden Tim Smith slips off of a center or one of the O linemen slips right off of that block and just delivers a stifling brick wall, stops the running back in his tracks. 4th and 1, ball turnover on downs. I couldn't believe it. I was totally taken aback, and I thought to myself, wow, that's going to definitely change the complexion of this game and the complexion of how I thought the game would go. Everybody remembers my prediction that it was going to be a total shootout again. And if Ole Miss goes in and scores on that first possession, I think that the first half would have gone more like I predicted. But, you can't predict superstar plays like that. And that was a play of the highest caliber. When you say, back in the day when you'd say defense wins championships, what they meant by that was not necessarily the best defense is going to win the national championship every year, but that you had to have a solid top-end defense to control the game, because that's how games were controlled in these big games. You look back to like the 2011 LSU-Alabama game, and what you were looking for in a game like that was for your offense to get the majority of your defense to get 3 and outs on the majority of the opposing team's possession. If you're a team that's playing at the highest level, that's how you controlled the game. You got 3 and outs, you got the ball back, you ran it, and you'd hope for a big pass play every once in a while to get yourself in position for a field goal or a touchdown to take control of the scoreboard. And I feel like what's happened now is a play like Tim Smith got yesterday is the big passing play that you used to count on from your offense before. When the defense won championships and controlled games, that was the kind of the play that you would want from your offense. Just, 1 or 2 of those, and then you would get control of the game and win. And but now it's completely different. And that play right there was every bit as big as, like, I remember DJ Hall catching a huge pass against Tennessee the last time we beat Lane Kiffin. No, that was way before Lane Kiffin. But that was Shula in 2005, the first time we beat Tennessee in a long time, 6-3 game. And that was the Tim Smith play in that game, was a DJ Hall long touchdown or long pass reception to get us in position for that winning Jamie Christensen field goal at the end of that game. And I know I'm talking about a long time ago, but I'm just trying to illustrate the point that I've been making over the whole course of this season about how much the game has changed. And that's a pretty good example. But back to this game, I've got to give a huge shout out to the entire defense. This is the most impressed I've been by an Alabama defensive front seven since the days of Pruitt and Kirby Smart and all those guys. It was that good. And I know a lot of people are going to make something about the 21 points that they got, but those were all garbage points. I mean, yesterday Lane definitely liked his points a little on the trashy side, and that's what he got. Because once you're up 35-0, no team has ever come back from a 35-0 deficit. I know there was a 35-point deficit that somebody got years and years ago, but it wasn't from 35-0, and certainly not in 35-0 in the second half. So any points they got were total garbage. Yeah, we would like for them to have not happened, but you're not going to shut out an offense like Ole Miss. They're still top notch, and I know that Lane's going to get a lot of flack for all those 4th and 1 calls, but the one on his own 20 when he was close, inside his own 30, I think, and he went 4th and 1, and it was the 3rd time. Yeah, that was a little bit of overkill, but the 2 before that were completely understandable, and because he knows that outside of Athens, Georgia, no team is going to stand up and play, straight up football against Alabama and win, and he was absolutely right to go for those 4th and 1s. That's the only way. And, because I like coaches to go into games to win ball games, not to have close scores and try to make your, college football playoff resume look better or anything like that. He was in there to win that football game, and that's why he was going for those 4th and 1s. And sure, he probably got a little panicky there, but, that's going to happen, especially in that kind of environment. And that's another thing that I've noticed this whole season. Teams are having trouble with the crowd more so than usual, and my theory is because they didn't have to deal with it last year. There was no such thing as a true road game for anybody last year, and so you got kids that are sophomores and juniors who have never experienced a true road game, and I think that that's definitely showing when you see all the trouble that a lot of teams are having. I mean, teams have always had trouble in hostile environments, hearing the snap count and that sort of thing, but it seems like it's particularly bad this year, and that stands to reason. And I just want to continue by saying that it seems like in Bryce Young, Saban is starting to figure out how to get ball control, how to have long drives that take off a lot of time on the clock, and you get 7 points at the end of it. And if he can figure out how to master that, then, the rest of the country better just take notice, because that's going to be a tough time. Yeah, it was great when Tua and all those guys were putting up 28 points in the first quarter, and then halfway through the second quarter he was gone for the day. Yeah, that was nice and everything. 35, 42 points in the first half, but you would always see that in the second half they were just pretty much done. The team was done, and they were just holding on for the win. But when you can suffocate a team like this, hold on to the ball, and still get 7 points at the end, then you really just strangle any hope that they have to win the ball game. And if Nick Saban can figure out with Bill O'Brien how to do that, how to have a ball control offense out of the spread and get 7 points every time, that's going to complement the defense, and you're going to see these games where it looks more like the old school, just suffocating dominance that we all remember and love. But you're still not going to see a whole lot of shutouts. I know Georgia was able to pull one off, but Arkansas is a much different kind of team, much different kind of offense than Ole Miss has. And so I think yesterday is about as good an execution against a high-powered championship-level offense like that as you're going to be able to see. And I just hope that we can manage to keep it up as we go forward, because Georgia is definitely serving notice, and we'll be talking more about that later on. Thank you.